This is the Dull Man's Podcast, the podcast for dull men
and women
who get excited about dull things.
Hello, I'm Demetrius Deech, a stand-up comedian who will share his love of dullness with anyone who is prepared to listen. Now, I'm just 1/3 of what you'll be listening to, because here to help me make sense of this world of mundane madness is Faye Hatcher, widely and unanimously regarded as the world's best radio broadcaster of all time, in her price bracket. Now, she's pretty much the antithesis of dull. So also joining us is Dave Harris, a podcast and radio producer renowned for running quite a tight ship, and Dave's vast experience in being dull will be invaluable. What we'll be doing is each introducing something we've come across, maybe a string of useless facts, a statistic, a list of irritations, maybe a pedantic argument, or someone's system of organising a fragment of their ordinary lives. We'll introduce each topic, sometimes with a little quiz, and orally meander through each one, and hopefully the mirth will follow.
Can I just ask what
Here
price,
we go again.
What price?
Here we go again.
Well, I'm only responding to what Deech said. What price bracket is Faye in?
That's a really good question.
It's, I believe, to be mid to high.
Mid to high?
Mid to high price bracket.
So what are we talking about, Deech?
I'm keen to discuss the difference in language between our friends overseas across the pond in America and other English-speaking states and what we speak.
And you also, I believe you mentioned something about odours and smells and things like that. I'm not quite sure of the context, but...
I've got a thing about things smelling, and sometimes I can never tell whether I like a smell or not. In my glove box, in my car, I have a bottle of Brute.
I've got a toffee crisp that's been there since I inherited my car from my husband.
But that doesn't smell
What do you mean?
particularly.
It doesn't
What do you
smell,
mean?
but
What do you
that's
mean?
just what's in my glove compartment. A toffee crisp. It must be about 20 years old, I
What,
reckon.
unopened?
Unopened, yeah. It's like an emergency one. But
Yeah. It would have to be an emergency now, wouldn't it, if you wanted to eat that?
Yeah, definitely.
I've
But
always
look-
wondered who eats toffee crisps.
Husband.
Can I drag you back to the Brute,
Sorry.
though? Because
Yeah,
we
yeah.
kind of passed that over.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think that's significant because to me, Brute is the smell of changing rooms in the 80s
Yeah, yeah.
when I was still playing rugby. You know, it just is... I mean, I didn't even know you could still get it.
Yeah, you can online. There's places you can get it, Dave. There are places you can get Brute.
Dark alleys where you can do deals.
Yeah.
The great smell
for
of Brute.
for the green smell. The actual smell in particular is that I was doing the hoovering the other day, and my do your hoovers have a distinctive smell?
Well, I don't have a Hoover. I have a vacuum cleaner.
I have a
Okay.
vacuum cleaner too. We're so ex-BBC.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
That's right.
The
You
brand
can't-
name.
Can't
Well, there
use
we
the
go.
brand, but yeah.
I've got a Dyson.
Oh, okay.
I've got a hairy Dyson, actually.
Right.
There was a point where me and my daughter both had quite long hair, and it would basically wrap around, the spinning
Yeah,
wheel.
yeah.
And I had to cut the hair. I had
been
to
through
give
that.
my vacuum cleaner.
Yeah,
Nearly said Hoover
I've
then.
done that as well.
A
This is
haircut.
Yeah.
The three
Yeah.
women
But
in my
does
a
it
haircut.
smell? I've never smelt it though.
You mind it? Well, I've got a Henry. And he's good. He's new to the house, but he's already got a bit of a smell. And I can't work out whether I like the smell or not.
Yeah.
Spray him with the
It's
Brute.
probably the motor, isn't it, that you can smell?
Yeah.
Straight in his eyes.
But you know what? We've got a Hetty, which
Oh,
is
okay.
which is
The
made by the
female-
same people.
The female.
Yeah,
Hen-
and of course
It's a pink one.
It is.
Okay.
Being a cliche.
What's the difference in
It's
function?
slightly well, as you might expect, being the female version, it is
Yeah.
slightly smaller and smells less.
Oh, okay.
It sucks and blows.
Faye, really?
Oh no,
I don't
Don't
know.
they all do that though?
Yeah,
that is true.
ours doesn't blow.
Just
No,
Oh,
only
my
sucks. Anyway, yes. So the Hetty, I think it was cheaper as well. So that's probably
Oh,
what we got.
the female is cheaper. There we go. There is a gender pay gap on the Henry and Hetty Hoovers.
Yeah.
That is.
Well, you're assuming.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
You're assuming Hetty's female. I mean, it doesn't actually say that on the box.
What does your vacuum cleaner smell of then?
like a musky kind of smell.
Dead skin cells.
Yeah.
Hair.
Yeah, dead bits of
Dust.
human. Yeah.
So it smells of you. It smells of Brute.
Apologies if that's how I smell now. But But yeah, I'm absolutely exhausted at the moment, so I've barely had a time to shower. So if I do smell now,
Because you've been vacuuming so much.
I have been vacuuming.
I've got another couple of smells which I just want to throw in quickly.
Oh God!
Go on then.
Dairy farms. Have you ever been to on a dairy farm? They have a very distinctive smell.
The smell of cow's milk. I hate that.
No, it's not.
I know, and I don't like it.
It's not that. Well, although obviously that is a smell, but no, it's something to do with the milk, I think. But I'm no expert. But I just love the smell of a dairy farm, interestingly. Wet tarmac on a summer's day. So if it's been very hot and humid, very hot and dry, not humid, and then suddenly you get a little bit of rain, I love that smell of the new rain on the tarmac.
That smell, I've been learning about that, and that smell has a specific name.
Does it?
It has a specific name, and it is escaping me at the moment.
I can't remember either. Somebody taught me that word, and I can't remember anything like that. Long words, I can't retain information.
Yeah. I'm of an age that just don't bother trying to teach me stuff now. It's just not. It's not going to work. I'm lucky if I can walk in a straight line. Yeah. That's
your homework day for next week.
Yeah, what is the name
What's
of that
the
smell?
word?
It's in my daughter has a book, and it's all about questions that you might have. And she's only 6, but it's quite an advanced book. It's a children's encyclopedia basically, and we went through that, and it was I think it was does rain smell?
Yeah, but it's more to do with the chemical reaction with soil, though, isn't it? Rather than tarmac. People are shouting at us now. We can't hear you.
Yeah,
we'll find out for next time.
And the other one, with probably also has a name, is the smell of the seaside, which I think, and you may say, well, seaside, is that chips or sausages
the smell of disappointment?
No, these days I think it's to do with seaweed, and I sort of had in my head somewhere that there was ozone involved in this, and I actually looked it up because I thought I better find out what this about. It's not, and in fact, there's something in seaweed. There's some chemical that seaweed gives off that counteracts ozone, because too much ozone at ground level is a bad thing. It's not good for us. And the seaweed deals with it apparently, and can reduce the amount of ozone that is at ground level, which is interesting, isn't it?
Very interesting.
Is it dull?
Yeah.
No, but that's good.
And in Wales, they have it for brunch, don't they?
Yes, seaweed. It's eaten in quite a lot of cultures, actually.
Oh, is it?
Not just Wales.
What is it? What is it called?
And
Wales,
they use it for packaging, don't they? Seaweed. They use.
Yeah,
for packaging.
it's incredibly good.
It's versatile.
Substance that you can use it for all sorts of things.
Don't you just hate it when you see it though? I always think it makes a beach look untidy.
I don't like touching it with my feet or my toes.
No, there's something creepy about it.
Yeah,
I don't want it. I don't want it there.
I don't want
I need
it
somebody
anywhere
to
near
remove
me.
it.
But I think in general it's incredibly good for the environment, seaweed.
Yes.
So we've got to welcome it, I'm afraid, with open arms.
Yeah, people say that about bees.
It's also true of bees.
But that annoys me because I gotta be honest, I don't like them. They sting and they hurt, and they're suicidal about it.
Well,
and now we've got to pander to them
because they go and fertilise our crops and our apple trees and things. How inconvenient.
Who invented the bee though? At least make it something nice, which doesn't try and drink your beer and buzz around.
That's wasps.
Yeah, you're thinking of wasps.
Wasps,
yeah. Wasps are a different kettle of fish. But I think bees in general are. And we have a bush right outside our back door, which always attracts bees in the summer, and they've never once.
They leave you alone.
They do leave us alone. They know who's the boss. They know who the boss is.
Okay. And who is the boss in your household?
Well, it's not me, obviously. But we can be sitting outside having a barbecue, and the bees are buzzing around. They make a nice noise.
Give them a burger. They're happy.
But they don't trouble us.
They don't impose.
As long as they can get their nectar and or whatever it is they get, and they're very useful. And I've just read The Beekeeper of Aleppo.
Yes.
Which is not really about beekeeping. It's actually about refugees, but bees come into it. But it was a fabulous book, and I would recommend it.
I did a dull job this week. Do you want to hear what it was?
Yeah. Go on.
I painted the metal railings outside my house.
That is a difficult job to do. That's very fiddly.
Yes, I've had the paint for about 2 years now, and it's been winking at me for ages. And I don't know why I chose last weekend to do it. Maybe because the weather was so good. And where our house is very public area, it's right on a towpath. So everybody walking past would say, "Good job."
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You did it
Well
for the
done.
good of the community, for the people walking past.
Not really. You know, they could do with doing. They're 20 years old now, and they're looking a bit tired and shabby. But everybody had an opinion on it. Yeah. So I'm just there trying to.
Classic black.
Classic black.
Classic black.
Exactly. But it's really bloody fiddly.
It is. Faye, can you talk me through your process of getting it done? I want to know about your prep. This is the important thing. Now,
okay, I read the tin and it said sand down, blah,
Yes.
blah. Can't be bothered to do any of that. So I got
You didn't sand?
I got my big broom.
Oh, my word.
And I just got
I'm
all the
clutching my heart.
cobwebs off.
This is too-
I just got the cobwebs off. Then I painted the top first,
Yeah.
and then each spoke at
Yes.
a time, backs and fronts, and then the bottom.
Right.
And then I just...
Did you de-dust it? Did you wipe it down?
Well,
did you clean
just
it?
the
Did
broom.
you use sugar soap?
I just did the broom.
No sanding. What about
Nothing.
a wire brush?
No,
You could have got
it suggested that on the can, but I couldn't be
No.
bothered with that. I just want to get something like that
You can
done
get
really
a wire brush
quickly.
attachment to a drill. You could
I'm
have
not
put it on there.
interested. I just wanted to do it. And it looks super without having done any of that prep.
Okay.
I'm with you on that, Faye. I have to say,
Thank you.
I'm not. I just want to get on with it. I can't be bothered with all the prep.
As soon as I started it, I just thought, why did I start this job? It is so boring.
Yeah. Well, it is. It is, but it has to be done. But if a job's worth doing, but there we go. You've got it. You've got it to a standard. It's better. It was probably flaky before, was it?
Yeah,
Was
a
it
little
like
bit
a sort of
flaky, fadey,
like a
yeah.
teenager's skin? It was just flaking off. And then, but now you've hammer-righted it.
So that was extremely dull this week. I won't be doing that for another 20 years, I reckon.
Well, except you didn't do the prep, so it'll all peel off by next year.
This is what's.
Thanks, Dave.
there.
No, that's okay. Just move before then. You know. Someone else's problem.
Give the job to someone else. So I spent about 6 months in America, and when I landed there, I thought I am going to just speak in my way. They're gonna sort of bow to my tune, but it's pointless. It's pointless in doing that. So what I'm going to do, I want to say a phrase. I'm going to say it to Faye, and then you've got to say what you think it is. Okay? So imagine this, Faye. You're in America. I don't know if you've been to America.
No.
Okay, you're in America. Let's say you're in Texas. You're there. A Texan, he starts approaching you. A man, maybe in his 50s, something like that. His shirt button is undone. He's wearing a Stetson. He's wearing cowboy boots. He comes over to you and he looks at you and he asks you to pop his trunk. What do you think he is wanting you to do, Faye?
Open the bonnet of his car to put fuel in, maybe? Maybe he thought you were working at the petrol station. The gas station,
close.
sorry.
You are very, very close, actually. If he wanted you to open the bonnet of his car, he would ask you to pop his hood.
Ah, okay, right.
The
Wrong end.
Depends
if you've got...
You're at the wrong end again.
Depends if you've got an old Beetle, because the engine's in the back.
That is true, actually. That is true. A weird car.
You'd have to be in San Francisco for that, because Herbie was in San Francisco. For our older listeners.
All right, then.
I wondered where you were going with that, saying that's San Francisco, where it is renowned for going at the other end. But there we go. Here's another one.
Go on.
Okay, so you're in California. You're on Muscle Beach. Okay, there's a man there. He's in his speedos. He's ripped. He's looking good. He's bronzed. He comes over, and he asks you, Faye, to buff his rim. What is he wanting you to do, Faye?
I really don't know.
Okay. Maybe shall I give you a clue? Maybe he comes over on a unicycle. Perhaps he comes over on a unicycle. He jumps off the unicycle, looks at you in the eye, and says, "Will you buff my rim?"
Polishes his bicycle wheel?
You're absolutely bang on there.
Yay.
Yeah. Rims are wheels. That is exactly what it is.
And he said that to you, did he?
No one has said that to me ever.
Here's a question for you then. If somebody... Yeah, well, let's imagine this wonderful American scenario that these pictures you're painting for us, but this time the person comes up to you and says, "I need you to fix my faucet."
Uh-huh.
What do you think they're talking about there, Faye?
Tractor? Fix his tractor?
It's really much more mundane than that. It's a tap.
Oh.
Taps or faucets in America.
Yeah.
Extraordinary. It took me a long time to get used to that when I was
Why are they
living
faucets?
over there. Well, why are trousers pants? I mean, it's just a different
Yeah,
word
but
for
is
the
it,
same thing.
I don't know, Armitage Shanks? Is it a brand of...
Perhaps it's the Latin for tap. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Because a lot of the time, this is quite embarrassing, the Americans actually have the more traditional words sometimes.
What, for example?
Well, I don't know, see, pants. Is that from pantyhose?
Pantaloons.
Pantaloons, of course.
Yeah.
So that is probably like where trousers or trousers came from, I don't know.
Most people know that a sidewalk in America is what we call a pavement.
Yeah.
But I think it's less well known that the road surface that the cars drive on in America is often known as a pavement. So,
is it?
Yeah. When I lived in Chicago, those two things were completely swapped around.
That's weird.
Yeah, it is weird. And that's
I mean,
less well known.
I'm stood on the pavement.
They don't tend to use it in that context. Obviously, what they might say is, they're repairing the pavement on the on the A396 or whatever, meaning they're repairing the road surface. I don't know. Maybe that's a Midwest thing. I don't know.
Well, yeah, it does change. And tarmac is asphalt as
right.
well in America.
Yeah. So if you say tarmac, nobody knows what you mean. And if I remember being asked once when we lived in Chicago, somebody said, can you tell me where the nearest Walmart is or something like that? And I said, it's about 100 metres that way. And they had absolutely no idea what 100 metres was. So I said, 100 yards, which is approximately the same. And they still didn't know. And so I said, 300 feet. Great. So it has to be feet and inches. It can't be yards, metres, kilometres, anything like that.
I'm just picturing Dave now on holiday going, smell the asphalt. Because you were talking about smells earlier.
Yeah. When I lived in the States, though, unlike you, I went native and I was there for 18 months.
You learn in a very short period of time.
You have to.
It's just, you
can't communicate otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like if you're asking for, sorry to cut, but if you ask for sort of what junction do I take on the motorway, they wouldn't have a clue what you're talking about. It's the exit on the highway.
Yeah.
So not a clue.
And the other classic, and apologies, Faye, if I've told you this story before, probably have, but when we moved into our apartment, because it's an apartment, not a flat, and we asked the chap on the door where the goods lift was so we could put our boxes and things in it, and he didn't have the faintest idea what we were talking about.
It's not a lift, is it?
It's a freight elevator, not a goods lift.
Yeah, the word lift will just won't.
Yeah. And once we establish that, then it's fine. But you can't sort of wander around saying, I speak the Queen's English or King's English now, of course. But that doesn't work. You've got to, quite rightly, when in Rome, it's...
well, you'll just get blank looks. If you ask for the toilet, if you're in a restaurant, you ask for the toilet, they'll just look at you really astounded, because a toilet, it means the same things, but it actually means the thing you sit on.
Yeah.
So to ask for that is a weird, it's like, what? That's,
it's
you have to ask for the restroom.
Rude. Yeah, exactly. It's a restroom.
Yeah.
But which is
nicer.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so. Well, I always ask for the little boys' room, but that's even weirder. But that is an expression, though, isn't it? Please tell me that's an expression.
In this country, yes.
But I mean, asking for the loo is obviously which is common here, is obviously a waste of time over there. But yeah, restroom has always struck me as something of a euphemism and not a particularly helpful one. But
no, because you're not resting. Well, you can be resting.
You could, yeah.
But this is the thing. So when I got there, I was working at a summer camp. It's called Camp America. And there were children there. They go there from the age of 9 up to about 14. And I was there through the summer. And they spent the whole entire summer there. In the mornings, you had like a flag, they called it like a flag ceremony. They'd like unveil the flag and all the kids were there. And they used to have songs for everything, absolutely everything. So if a child lost their tooth, as they often did, because they were young, they would have a song. And they would be called up to stand by the flagpole whilst everyone sang a song. And I remember the song. If it was their birthday, there would be a specific birthday song, and they did that. And there was another song which they sang as well. And it had one of those words where you could misunderstand things. Because there's a word in America which let's say in English, it would mean that you're full of energy, you've got vigour, you're quite gregarious, you're confident. And that word is a word that we have in English, but is a word for male semen. So the song, which was about such and such having lots of spunk caused a lot of problems for me because I didn't really know what was going on.
But I think that's interesting because I think our parents' generation would be very familiar with the use of the word spunk, meaning vim and vigour and bravery, and not the.
I'm giggling like a schoolgirl.
Yeah.
Is this all new to you, Faye?
Well, this was the song, so I had no idea. So I'm there. It was like it's my first day. The kids have just arrived as well, and they're singing songs. And one of the girls might have done something because it was always for the girls as well. And all of her cabin, there were about 12 girls sleeping in a cabin. There were boys as well, but all of her cabin would sing the song. So they'd say, "Okay, we're going to have Rachel come up to the flagpole because she helped Sarah unpack her bags," and they'd all start singing, "She's got spirit, she's got spunk. That's because she's in our bunk. Yay, Rachel!" And I'd be like, "What on earth have I just walked into?" What other words did you come across when you were in the States? Faye, do you have any words that you...
Schedule.
Yeah, pronunciations, aluminum.
Fanny pack.
Yeah, that confused. There was an English girl who I was with out there, and we all had the same problem. We all got confused. And she was asked, we were going on a trip, and she said, and she was asked to go get her fanny pack. And she thought they meant tampons.
No.
She was like, "I don't need them today." She's like, "Well, just go get them just in case." And she's like, "No, I know I don't."
How would you pronounce the hard cheese that you put on pasta and spaghetti and things like that?
Parmesan.
Yeah, in America it's Parmesan.
Parmesan, yeah.
Parmesan.
Which I always thought was very strange. But again, you very quickly start adopting it, and then when I came back here, I
dug my heels in with tomatoes.
Oh, tomatoes.
Yeah. I refused. I refused to say tomatoes. I dug my heels in at that. That was my breaking point.
And the thing is, people will know what you mean if you say tomatoes. Yeah. They just think you've got a weird accent.
Yeah. Well, they think you're sexy. Actually, I learned that in my mind. My way of picking up women in America was to ask for a dried tomato bagel.
Oh, right.
Like in a bagel shop, that is. That wasn't my pickup line.
Not just randomly on the street.
Yeah.
Would you happen to have a dry tomato bagel, please?
And they also use, instead of saying full stop, they say period.
Yeah.
Which is, again, that kind of
confusing with the fanny pack thing.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. Yeah, they sort of like end any conversation with period, which kind of ends any conversation, to be honest with you. But
why would we say full stop if we're just...
It's when you make a dramatic ending to a conversation.
Okay. Yeah. Would we say full stop?
That is all I'm going to say about that. Full stop.
Or when we say, do we say end of story? No, we don't say end of story. But they will say that. "I'm not going out tonight, period."
I'm not going out tonight because of my period.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, obviously I wouldn't say that, but you know.
Oh, Dave, do you want a hot water bottle?
Yes, please. Would you mind? It's a sympathy period.
Poor thing.
Something that we didn't quite get time for last time was dull TV and film. I think this is quite an interesting subject. I, believe it or not, came across a thing called slow TV. I don't know if you've ever come across it.
What is this, Dave?
Slow TV. And it was on BBC 4, predictably enough.
Right.
And there was a programme. I mean, I've only seen one of them, but the one I saw was called All Aboard the Country Bus. It
sounds like something from, I don't know, the makers of comic strip.
You can Google this. It exists. I promise you. Slow TV, BBC 4, All Aboard the Country Bus. And what that is something like an hour's worth of television filmed in real time, the journey of a bus across, I think it's the Yorkshire Dales or somewhere, or North Yorkshire.
Okay.
So they literally put a camera in this bus with a view out of the window. And you just sit there for an hour watching this bus on its journey across the North Yorkshire moors.
The camera's pointed outwards, so you've got the driver's view, so to speak.
Do you know what?
Or you see the passengers in their sort of like look of sort of hysteria as they see yet another monolith.
That's a good question, and I'm ashamed to say, although I didn't watch it all.
I remember it.
I watched some of it, but I can't remember. It was so boring I can't remember it.
Is there sound?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so you hear people getting excited about, oh, look, there's another Dale.
Yeah, but they don't get very excited. No. I think the bus wasn't empty, but I think and it's beautifully filmed, and the sound is good, and all that. It's professional.
Well?
Oh yeah. This is a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And it was, as I say, it was called Slow TV, and there were other examples as well. But the only one I remember, the only one I saw, was All Aboard the Country Bus. But that led me on to thinking, I actually.
Is that a bit too high octane for you, Dave? Is that why you turned it off?
It was very exciting.
That's your version of Formula One.
Very, very exciting. But you know what? There was one. I think there was one called The Cure for Insomnia in 1987. So it's going back a bit now. So that obviously the clue is in the title there. But and then I discovered that there's actually a website devoted entirely to bus documentaries.
Oh,
now I know I'm going off the subject a bit here because that's not strictly film. Dull website. But the fact that I know there's all sorts of websites, all sorts of specialisms, but the fact that there's one entirely devoted to bus documentaries, not to buses, not to documentaries, but to bus documentaries.
So you can go on there and download a sort of a documentary.
Oh, no, it's not that interesting. You can go on there and you can see people talking about bus documentaries.
Oh, so someone, back in 1979...
Well, this is more recent. Sorry,
okay.
I confused things
niche,
there.
Isn't it?
But I think
niche, blimey, it is
but these
as niche as you
these
can
are
get.
people discussing documentaries about buses. It's like a chat room.
I didn't realise there were documentaries about buses.
Well, I mean, I think All Aboard the Country Bus probably
One
counts as one, although there are no words, and but it is documenting a journey. So I suppose it is a documentary in that sense.
Who's hosting? Who's got that gig? I can see Michael Portillo getting involved.
I wonder. I asked.
Yeah.
Martin Clunes.
Martin Clunes.
He'd be good, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
But I applied to do the voiceover on All Aboard the Country Bus, and I was accepted. But it turns out there was the script was blank. Best gig ever. I sat in a recording studio for 8 hours saying nothing.
It's heavy breathing.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at that view.
Right. Imagine you're going over the brow of a hill now, and if you can sort of start panting as you go
exactly.
down.
And I'm desperate to say something, but there's nothing in the script.
You just murmur it. The occasional point.
I think from memory, there were some captions on the screen occasionally, telling you which bus stop we were approaching. So,
It's fascinating.
which I think is a compromise. Actually, I think it would have been
I think
purer
you struck gold there
without
with that one, Dave.
any information at all. Maybe a title at the beginning.
Yeah.
All Aboard the Country Bus. But that was it. An hour of. So I would urge you to try and find it. I mean, it might still be on the iPlayer. I don't know, but or on YouTube. But try and find that and watch it.
Yeah, I will do, and I'll sandwich it in between watching Speed 1 and Speed 2 with Keanu Reeves, the English version.
Those are great documentaries. I really enjoyed those. Yeah, very realistic.
You don't need to do your meditation anymore. Just watch one of these slow TV
Talking of
programmes.
potentially dull TV, last time we talked about the Jamie Oliver thing and air fryers.
Indeed, we did.
Did you get a chance to do your homework?
Yes, I have done my homework.
Well done,
actually.
Deech.
I felt compelled to do it because I knew I'd get another rollicking off you.
Well, because your producer emailed you and said, "Watch this program
and do that, get that done." So I watched it, and now I've decided that maybe the air fryer isn't quite for me, because I put it on halfway through and he was chopping chives. That's what I want to avoid doing. I don't want to be chopping chives.
That's a level of detail that's a bridge too far.
Yeah, I don't. It's beyond my skill set to understand what I know. What chives? I can't recognise chives. It just look like long grass.
You can use scissors, by the way.
Pardon?
To chop. You can use scissors to chop chives.
And can you use long grass, or does it have to be chives?
It has to be.
It probably has to be.
I don't know.
Yeah, so he was getting a bit too involved and a bit too excited, and he was wearing a jacket as well. He wasn't in his chef's whites. He was just casual.
So did you get nothing from this programme? Did you not get any ideas?
Yeah. So he cooked. Let me have a look. So he cooked a scone and a salad.
A scone and a salad? Is that the same as a... Can I just say, is that the same as a scone?
No,
controversial.
For me, it's a scone.
This is an argument we have at home.
Yeah,
there is a split in our household about this.
There's a split in my household as well about this. So he prepared. Obviously, the salad wasn't done in the air fryer. He made that and he put pomegranates on it as well, which I'm against. So he's already got my backup from Chivegate and Pomegranate Gate. This is what he said. He said that the scones and the salad is like a literal marriage. So that annoyed me because
it's not a literal marriage.
It's not a literal marriage, and you couldn't be like literal.
No, it's a metaphorical marriage.
Yeah, it's a metaphor marriage. So but he's saying it's a metaphor by saying like, and then he says literal. So sort that out. It's either one or the other. Jamie.
Come on, Jamie, get your act together.
Right. He goes on to say it's like a beautiful collision of textures, flavours, and temperatures. Happy blooming days, all in one lovely little bowl. You've got to have a go. And then there's some music comes on as he's getting things ready, which I would describe like 1970s porn music.
Oh.
Yeah. It's sort of getting things in the group, like a good porn as well, not like a high budget one where they fix the boiler, and he's Corgi registered. I've just worked out anyone know what Corgi registered means.
I'm assuming this is music that was put on by the editor and producer afterwards, as opposed to being played from the air fryer itself.
Well, that's a very good point. I don't know. I don't know if T-Ful have got. You can have porn setting, smooth rock.
The more upmarket air fryers come with their own music.
Yeah. He's indulging himself in
porn,
his
the
music's going on. So imagine there's
reveal.
porn music in the background, right? So he's opening up the scones, right? Hit it up with some pepper and a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil. Toss in some walnuts. Then add lemon for a beautiful lemony, cream cheesy scone. Come on, just beautiful. I'm salivating. Will they be soft and spongy in the middle? ? Look at that. What a joy. What a joy. Tossed up in minutes. A beautiful, lovely light dinner. Come on. Oh my Lord. I'm getting spiced cream cheese. Crispy base, fluffy inside, next level delicious.
Right, now I understand why the 70s porn music is on there.
Yeah, it goes on.
Do you know he's trying to compete with Nigella, isn't he? On sauce factor.
Totally. The cold and the tangy and the hot and the crispy. The salad, it's crunchy. So come on. That is a delish mouthful. What are you waiting for? Super quick, 12 minutes. Hallelujah. Cut to commercial break. The first commercial, McDonald's. The chicken Big Mac is back, but only for a limited time. Don't regret it. Get it. You're loving it.
Well, that is very dull.
Yeah.
So perhaps we should call it a dull day there.
I think so. So that is it. Episode 2, or maybe episode -2 of the Dull Man's podcast. The podcast for dull men and women who get excited about dull things. If you've enjoyed us, then tell 10 of your friends to find us wherever they get their podcasts. If you've not enjoyed us, then tell 5 of your enemies to find us wherever they get their podcasts. Please do give us a 5-star review, whether you think we deserve it or not. You've been listening to Faye Hatcher, Dave Harris, and myself, Demetrius Deech. Join us again for the Dull Man's podcast.